Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Lilo. Give me 1 second. I'm just making sure that the live stream is actually up and running. It's looking like it is. It's looking like it is. Sweet. Yeah, it's up and running. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Lilo. Yeah, we have an awesome live stream today. Let's just get right into it, shall we? Let's get right into it. All right. Can you guys see this? I think there's a slight delay. Give me 1 second. I'm just making sure that you guys can actually see my screen. Shonen, what's up, man? Welcome to the stream. Okay, yeah, everything's up and running. Okay, let's do it. So, hey, what's up, you guys? Today we're going to be debating who's stronger between Gojo and Sukuna from a power... Oh, geez, bro. My cat just jumped off this desk, knocked a bunch of things down. Anyways, today we're going to be debating who's stronger between Gojo and Sukuna from a power scaling perspective, okay? So I opened up a poll right here saying Gojo is objectively stronger than Sukuna based on feats, and we'll be live stream debating these comments, right? With the goal of figuring out who's truly stronger than who. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to go through every single one of the comments you guys left to this poll. I'm going to read them, we'll discuss them, and debate them live here on the stream. It's going to be pretty fun. And before we get into this, here's a quick summary of my reasoning for why Gojo is stronger than Sukuna from a power scaling perspective. Okay, so here's a quick summary of it. So I say that Gojo is objectively stronger than Sukuna from a power scaling perspective because Sukuna's two strongest attacks scale below Gojo objectively. Fuga, it's something that's stated to be Sukuna's ultimate and most destructive attack, does not work on Gojo, stated right here, because Gojo can just change the barrier size and like make Fuga useless. And World Cutting Slash scales below Gojo's reaction speed objectively because Maki can dodge it. Maki, being a character who 1 month ago was stated to, well, 1 month ago of in-story time, was stated to be relative to Mach 3 and had to go through a second mental awakening just to react to Mach 3 attacks. Furthermore, Maki got overwhelmed and sent flying by Sukuna missing 2 of his arms, while she jumped him in a 5v1. Meanwhile, Gojo outboxed a full power Sukuna in a 3v1 while Gojo was missing one of his arms. It's to show you that Gojo and Maki are on different tiers of reaction speed. Another thing that really just shows that that's objectively true is when Gojo was just a freaking teenager who had not even mastered his domain expansion, he was so much faster than Toji that Toji could not land a single attack on him, even while Gojo wasn't paying attention. Numerous times in the fight, Gojo's barely paying attention to this man. Toji still can't land a single attack on him. And then Gojo goes on to become many, many times more powerful than this by the time he's battling Sukuna. And Gojo was in a state of double Black Flash when he got chopped in half. All that being said, if Maki can dodge World Cutting Slash, that means double Black Flash adult Gojo certainly is faster than it as well. So yeah, that's just a quick summary of the points that I had made in my previous Gojo versus Sukuna video, where I was saying that Gojo is objectively stronger from a power scaling perspective. So now we'll go into the debates, okay? Let me peep the live chat, see if I missed anything. Galgox, what's up, man? What's up, Galgox? What's up, everybody? Welcome to the stream, everybody. But now it's time for the debate portion. Is this text big enough for you guys? Can you read it on your screen too? Let me know if you need me to zoom in anymore. But yeah, let's get into it. So the first comment we have here is from Nick Joven 4816. Nick says, I guess if you look at their movesets from a general perspective, Gojo's abilities seem superior. Infinity makes him untouchable. Hollow Purple erases you from existence, and if Unlimited Void hits you, it's basically over. But Sukuna is so brilliant at Jujutsu that he elevates what seems like a simple technique of cutting things up and turns it into something unbeatable. His knowledge of binding vows, barrier condition swapping, his open barrier domain, and also his true form, which is the perfect Jujutsu body, make him superior to Gojo. In my opinion, if he fought Gojo in his true form, then the fight would have ended at the moment Gojo started bleeding and couldn't open his domain anymore. Gojo said that Sukuna was choosing the riskier way to get around his domain expansion, which we know he only did because he was going with the Maharaga adaptation plan. If he didn't, then I don't believe he loses the 3 minutes of hand-to-hand combat in his four-armed body, which means he isn't going to be slow at healing with reverse curse technique, so Gojo doesn't open his domain and is still able... Wait, hold on. So Gojo doesn't open his domain faster to hit him with Unlimited Void, so the next time they both go into their domains, Gojo still bleeds out, but Sukuna doesn't, and is still able to use domain expansion. Sukuna then opens his domain and shreds Gojo to pieces, maybe even uses Fuga. Not to mention Sukuna has another pair of arms that he can use at any time to protect himself with Hollow Wicker Basket while fighting with Gojo in a physically stronger body. So Nick, that's an excellent comment, man. And a lot of great points in here. There's about 7 different points. So we'll go through each one at a time, okay? And also, just for anyone who's new to the channel, with the debates on my channel, the main thing to keep in mind is our goal is to always stay respectful to each other. Because at the end of the day, guys, we're just talking about comic books. So there's really no need for any of us to like be insulting or be rude to each other, even if we disagree. At the end of the day, these debates, as long as you keep them respectful, the only thing that happens is that both parties learn more about the series. So that's the goal of these, okay? We're not going to be disrespectful, not going to be rude at all. The goal is to just have fun and have some good power scaling debates. So let's start. So let's see. The first major point here is Sukuna's brilliant at Jujutsu, and he has a simple idea and made it extremely powerful because of how skilled he is. I agree with that. Here, the idea of his knowledge of binding vows, and then talks about barrier conditions, opening the domain, true form, make him superior to Gojo. Okay, let's talk about that. So, Nick is saying, because Sukuna displayed more skill with binding vows and barrier condition swapping, that makes him superior. I think what they're trying to say is that Sukuna is more skilled at Jujutsu than Gojo because he does more with binding vows than Gojo does, and he has an open barrier domain. There could be some truth to that. Here's a counterpoint though. Kenjaku, I believe Kenjaku also has a domain with no barrier on it. But he is massively weaker than Gojo, to the point where the entire series runs from him. Okay. And another thing, just because Sukuna used a plethora of binding vows doesn't mean that Gojo couldn't also use binding vows. We even see Todo use like freaking first grade Sorcerer Todo is using binding vows in the most recent chapters against Sukuna. Miwa had binding vows. And Miwa's nothing close to Gojo in any regard. So just because Sukuna uses binding vows and has an open barrier domain, that doesn't make him superior. It just shows that how can I word it? Well, let me put it to you like this. The proof that Sukuna's domain is not superior to Gojo's is because their domains clashed. If Sukuna's domain was truly superior to Gojo's domain, it would not have clashed. It would have overwritten Gojo's domain entirely. And the fact that Gojo was able to, on the fly, instantly think of a way to counter a no barrier domain and think of using reverse curse technique to heal your curse technique. This is something that people don't like talking about, but let's talk about it. Gojo's talent is potentially leagues above Sukuna's. Sukuna is 1,000 years old, lived an entire full lifespan before dying, then lived 1,000 years as a cursed object after that. Okay? This man has so much more time as a sorcerer and is still a dead even rival with Gojo. Imagine if Gojo was 1,000. He accomplished all of this in 27 years. What would Gojo do in 1,000? People don't want to have that conversation. So if we want to just pick one or two things that are not power related and just say that that makes them a stronger character, let's talk about talent, because Gojo's talent's on a much higher tier. In 27 years, he's a dead even rival to Sukuna after 1,000. So that's a counter argument to the point that was said in this sentence of Nick was saying, like, because Sukuna has an open barrier domain and uses binding vows and just like does more with Jujutsu, that makes him superior to Gojo. My counter to that is a lot of characters have binding vows. Gojo, like, a lot of characters weaker than Gojo use binding vows. Okay. And yeah, just like having one or two skills being displayed more doesn't make you stronger. Like Gojo could probably do binding vows too. Just didn't. Okay. So let's move to the next sentence. You say, in my opinion, if he fought Gojo in his true form, then the fight would have ended at the moment where Gojo started bleeding and couldn't open his domain anymore. Well, let's look at that. I have some slides up right here. Let's go to that exact scene you were talking about where Gojo's nose is bleeding. I think it's 2:30. And we'll talk about that. And oh, whoa, a bunch of comments showed up in the live stream. What's up, everybody? What's up, Nicholas? What's up, Sakura? What's up, Michael? What's up, T. Cole? What's up, Nick? What's up, everybody? Yeah, I'm in the middle of debating one of Nick's points. So I'll get to your guys' points after Nick's. But a statement that Nick said right here, because Nick had like 6 different points in this one, so I want to make sure I address each one properly. Nick says the fight would have ended at the moment where Gojo started bleeding and couldn't open his domain anymore. So right here. Wait, hold on. You mean this point? Okay. So wait, what are you saying? You're saying if they fought in true form, then it would have ended here. Why? How does this change anything? How does I'm not understanding the point, because it's like right after Gojo's nose starts bleeding, Sukuna's nose also starts bleeding. He can't open his domain either. Even if this was 4-armed Heian era Sukuna, the exact same thing happens right here. So, let me go back here. You said Sukuna was choosing the riskier way to get around the domain expansion, which we know he only did because he was set on going with the Mahoraga adaptation plan. If he didn't, then I don't believe he loses the 3-minute hand-to-hand combat in his 4-armed body. That one, that's the easiest thing to disprove. That's because Gojo defeated something more than that already. In terms of hand-to-hand, Gojo outboxed full power Sukuna, Mahoraga, and a Fused 10 Shadow Beast at the same time, and Gojo had 1 arm when he did that. So Gojo with 1 arm fought Sukuna with access to 6 arms and outboxed him. So I've never understood this argument people make where they say a 4-armed Sukuna would somehow magically do something a 6-armed Sukuna couldn't. That one doesn't make much sense to me. And they say that... So I think the point Nick is trying to say is the reason that Sukuna was getting outboxed was because he was adapting to Mahoraga, using Mahoraga to adapt. But it's like, that didn't happen in the 3v1. In the 3v1, Sukuna was trying to ice him, and they were all getting outboxed. So, and then the idea that the Mahoraga adaptation plan nerfed him, there is some truth to that, but a good, easy counter-argument is to just say, without Mahoraga, he literally did not have a win condition. He needed to take the riskier option because death was certain without it. Okay. And now let's go to the last bits here. This is a really good comment to start off with. I understand why it got 19 likes because it was really well thought out. Okay. And let me see. What's the next part? Okay, he says, which means he isn't going to be slow at healing with reverse curse technique, so Gojo doesn't open his domain faster to hit him. No, yeah, we already disproved that because Gojo outboxed 6-armed Sukuna. Like, Sukuna with access to 6 arms got outboxed by Gojo with 1 arm. Gojo would outbox Heian era Sukuna too. The 6 eyes are really powerful for hand-to-hand. Let's see. And yeah, and then this is just a continuation of that, saying that he thinks Heian era Sukuna would outbox Gojo and then just win. But I disagree. Okay, now let me look through these comments in the chat. There was a bunch of them while I was going through that one. Sorry that one took me a long time. I just didn't want to... I didn't want to miss out on anything in Nick's comment. I could tell he put a lot of time into it, so I didn't want to skip anything. Let me read your guys' comments now. In the chat really quick, in the live stream chat. So Galgox is saying Gojo was whipping Sukuna in hand-to-hand. It wasn't close. I don't think 2 extra arms will make up for that huge difference. That's what I was saying too. Nicholas says Sukuna stomps. I disagree. And that was not what happened in the fight as well. Sukuna did not stomp. He was getting cooked. Galgox says battle IQ is not something that would translate other than power scan. Okay, yeah, that was part of the intro part to Nick's question. He was replying to that. Sakura says, I have a way that Gojo low diffs all versions of Sukuna if he played it passive instead of aggressive. That's interesting. I'd like to hear that. I would love to hear that. That sounds really interesting. Michael Rodney says, W mans. What's up, Michael? Thank you. Let's see. T Cole 2 says IQ isn't completely hypothetical, should still be used in debates. Okay, we can maybe a little bit later we'll talk a little bit more about the fight IQ between the two. Sukuna's fingers are stated to get stronger every day, and Sukuna had 1,000 years building up energy and was still only relative. If that might be true. Yeah, if that's actually true, then this really isn't even close. Like, the talent gap in between Gojo and Sukuna is massive. It's kind of like comparing Meruem to Sukuna almost. Like, Meruem, if you look at... So, this is kind of a tangent based on what Nick is a Neat... Wait, were you the one who said this too? Oh no, that's a different Nick. Okay, Nick is a Neat has a really interesting comment saying that the Sukuna fingers get stronger every day. Sukuna was a cursed finger for 1,000 years, built up cursed energy for 1,000 years, and then fought Gojo, and they were still very relative. Gojo's 27 years old, guys. Like, that's insane. And not even... Another thing on top of that, dude. Gojo, with 27 years of life, thought of using reverse curse technique to replenish his curse technique before Sukuna did with 1,000 years. Because when Sukuna saw Gojo do that, it was stated Sukuna had never seen anyone do that before. And he learned it instantly from seeing Gojo do it once. So Gojo thought of something in 27 years Sukuna did not think of in 1,000. That says a lot. But there's a bunch more comments. I am going to go to this one here, Badass Production 4734. And if I missed any of your guys' comments in the live stream, I know I didn't read the last 5 or 6. Don't worry. I'll get back to it. I'll go back and forth. So I'll read one from here, and then I'll go back to you guys in the live stream, and then back and forth. Okay. So let's keep going. So Badass Production says, if you remove the things holding the both of them back, Sukuna in his full form and not trying to perfect his technique, and Gojo no longer having the objective of saving Megumi, then the fight becomes, can Gojo win a domain clash? Something which would be a lot harder this time around, since Sukuna can amplify the slashes in his domain through chanting, and Sukuna would have an easier time, since despite not having the 10 shadows in this scenario, he'd have a better body and be using the saver choices as opposed to the OG fight. So that's a great comment too. So this one will be fun. Okay, so this comment is taking the stance of full power Heian era Sukuna battling Gojo. And you're saying they're both not holding back anymore. That's also something a lot of people don't talk about, is that there's a chance Gojo was holding back too, because their goal was to save Megumi as well. So there's some people who believe Gojo was holding back through the fight. Okay, so they said, can Gojo win a domain clash? Something a lot harder this time, because Sukuna can amplify his slashes in the domain with chanting. Okay, let's talk about that. Okay, so the way I'm interpreting it, you're saying they have a domain clash like they did in their first fight, but this time, when let's say it goes exactly the same way. Here, let me just open it so you guys can see it too, and we'll talk about it. So I think the first domain clash was it chapter. It's 227, I think. Might be 226. Let's take a look. Is this the first? Okay, yeah, this is in the first one, right? I need to go back. Or is this the second one? These guys domain clashed 5 times in this fight. But I want to just look at the exact example they were talking about, and we can go through it together and see what that will look like. So I think it's right here is what they're talking about, but let me go back just to be 100% sure. Because I think what Badass Productions was saying is, yeah, it would go, okay. So they're saying, if they were to fight, and instead of Meguna, this is Heian era Sukuna, they do this domain clash. Their domains are both equal to each other, just like it was before. But why did his break again? I forgot. Oh, it's because of the domain conditions. They were doing all sorts of super advanced stuff, and Sukuna attacked the barrier from the outside, broke it. Okay, so in this situation here, now, going off of Badass Productions example, we have Gojo here. Hold up. Okay. Yeah, we have this Gojo here, but he's fighting Heian era Sukuna now, instead of the Meguna. And what Badass Productions is saying... Right here, it would be a lot harder this time because Sukuna can amplify the slashes in his domain through chanting. And Sukuna would have an easier time since despite not having the 10 shadows in the scenario, he'd have a better body. Okay. So they're saying that the chanting would be the main thing that would give him the advantage. Well, here's something that should be stated, right? Using a domain, that's the pinnacle of sorcery. And Gojo states, domains give you a buff to your stats like a video game. So these slashes that Sukuna's using right here are already stronger than a normal Sukuna slash. Not only that, here's something that a lot of people don't really talk about. These slashes, canonically, in terms of actual attack power, are probably stronger than the World Cutting Slash 2. Because this is full power Sukuna shooting his domain with amplified slashes at the very start of the fight. Meanwhile, World Cutting Slash is just a normal dismantle with the target changed. This is a powered up cleave and dismantle, hitting Gojo thousands upon thousands of times, and Gojo instantly regens. And now, another thing to keep in mind, this is Gojo who cannot even use cursed techniques right now because his domain just broke. Like, he can't, I don't think he can use blue, infinity, red, any of that stuff during this state. And he's still holding his own against Meguna, who has cleave and dismantle amped already. And he has the 10 shadow beasts within him. Okay. And then the argument Badass Productions is saying is that if Sukuna chants on top of this, then that would suddenly make it so strong that it kills Gojo. That's a hard sell to me, because he's already getting hit by amped slashes and he's handling it just fine. Furthermore, he can do chants here too. He can do chants here too. The benefit of having 4 arms and 2 mouths is that he can chant while boxing. Here's my stance on it. Gojo's just way better at hand-to-hand than Sukuna anyway. Even with the additional 2 arms, he would still be getting... my stance on it is Gojo's better at hand-to-hand than even Heian era Sukuna. And seeing how he was able to handle this already disgusting onslaught, the only thing that would change, the slashes would be slightly stronger, maybe. Like, I'm not sold on that. I'm sorry. It just, I don't know. What do you guys think? Because to me, I'm not sold on that. The slashes being slightly stronger from a chant, something that he could do here. He could chant here, but he's not doing it. Okay. So, Sukuna's slashes just being a little bit stronger. Don't think that's going to be enough to take out Gojo when he's getting slashed by thousands of amped slashes already and then just instantly regenning from it and holding his own in boxing against the fullest form of Sukuna possible. Yeah, my stance on it is that even if it's Heian era Sukuna, those 2 additional arms are not going to make they're not going to make him better at hand-to-hand than Gojo is. He still gets outboxed in the domain clashes. And it's even stated in the fight that Gojo's better at hand-to-hand in fighting inside of domains. Okay, let me go to the live stream comments. Wade says, yo, Lilos, love the comment. What's up, Wade? Thank you very much, man. Julian, what's up, dude? Julian, in our last live stream, I rewatched the Yuta versus Toji debate one, and I saw you were asking if I had a Discord, and I just like missed your comment the whole time. I do have a Discord, but I'm not sure if I'm going to like open it up to the public, just because I see so many YouTubers just doing stupid things in Discord, bro. Like, so many people keep getting in trouble with Discords. So it's like, that's the reason I don't really want to give out a Discord, is just because I don't want people hopping in the Discord and doing like degenerate things and stuff. But like, it message me on this community tab, and I could like maybe message you directly my Discord, and maybe you could like just talk to me like that. Anyways, let me look through the live stream comments, what you guys were saying. Fusion, let me read Fusion 237's comment. He said, yeah, if he gets Infinite Void off its game, but in a domain clash it's equal, Gojo has better hand-to-hand. He would need to be careful since World Cutting Slash is very deadly. Okay, Fusion was just like commenting on what I was saying earlier. Slade says Gojo was not holding back. He literally said at the start of the fight he wouldn't hold back because Sukuna is in Megami's body. Gojo even said he went all out in 236. That's a very good point too. A counter argument to that though is right here. Hold up, I'll pull it up for you. It's like, I think it's 231. It's like right after Gojo hits Sukuna with Unlimited Void. There's a piece of dialogue that implies that Gojo is holding back at least a little bit. Here, yeah, I think it's 229 then. Go here. By the way, guys, I recommend anyone who's like a YouTuber, you should definitely highly recommend getting a Viz subscription. That way you're like supporting the official release, you know? Okay, right here. So this is the scene. This is the panel I've seen people use to say that Gojo was holding back. It's right here. So Sukuna gets cooked right here. Sukuna had. This is one of the biggest things that really makes me think like Gojo's a stronger character. But let's just talk about it. In this scenario, Sukuna had nothing in his arsenal that would save him from this. Even Heian era Sukuna has nothing that will save him from this. It's not been displayed. But here, Gojo, he hit him with Unlimited Void and is able to kill him right here. He has all of his abilities. He could use purple, he could use red, he could use any of that stuff. But instead, he says, I'm not done. I want to crush his heart, lungs, and liver so he's closer to death than Yuji was at the start of the series. He's not saying, I want to erase him. I want to hit him with purple. He's not saying any of that. He says he wants to get him closer to death when he has the opportunity to kill him right here. So this is the biggest thing I've seen people use to say Gojo was holding back during this fight. Like, even though he says at the start of the fight to Sukuna, you being in Megami's body is not gonna mess with me. This panel implies Gojo was lying, and it did mess with him at least a little. So that's the thing people say for Gojo holding back. I just wanted to show you guys that. Some people agree with it, some people don't. What do you guys think? Because like crushing Sukuna's heart and lungs does not kill him. That's been shown like in the recent chapters. Like to kill Sukuna, you pretty much have to rip his head off. So yeah. Anyways, let's continue. I'm gonna go back to the debating comments here. Let's go. Okay. So the Gaming Shogun is the next one. Oh, dude, Bromus. Okay, this guy, we're gonna do Gaming Shogun, but Bromus right here. This guy in the Yuta versus Toji live stream debate gave me probably like the most thought-provoking question. So I already know that Bromus is going to be like a really good one. Bromus could probably legitimately do YouTube videos. Legitimately. That's me being 100% honest. When I read Bromus's comments last time, I remember just being genuinely like impressed. So this one is probably going to give me the most trouble, guys. Like, I'll just be honest. Bromus is super smart. So everyone here is smart, but I just remember from the last stream, Bromus's were like really good points. But let's get into the Gaming Shogun. Okay. So the Gaming Shogun says, problem is, Sukuna only struggled due to his greed. He wanted a new technique to get through infinity without domains or domain amplification. That's why he uses Maharaga to give him the blueprint, but doesn't use it to kill Gojo. Oh, doesn't use Maharaga to kill Gojo. Okay, that's not that strong of a point because Maharaga is way weaker than Gojo. Gojo one-shot him, literally. But that's okay. We'll keep going. And also another thing, guys, like as we go through this, for everyone who just hopped in, keep the guidelines good. You know, like just because this is a power scaling debate does not give anyone permission to be rude or mean to each other, dude. We're just talking about comics. So, just chill, have fun, no insults. That's how I like to do debates. No insults. This guy is making good points. So I just wanted to make sure I wasn't being too hard on him. There we go. Anyways, let's keep going. This is why Gojo questions why Sukuna won't go on the offensive or use any other techniques that don't relate to his domain. Hold on, let me read this sentence again. Let me start from the beginning because I lost my train of thought. I wanted a new technique to get through infinity without domain amplification. That's why he uses Maharaga to give him a blueprint, but doesn't use Maharaga to kill Gojo. That's why Gojo questions why Sukuna won't go on the offensive or use any other techniques that don't relate to his domain. Sukuna was purposefully drawing out the fight to let Maharaga adapt. Sukuna literally states he doesn't need Maharaga to win. That's actually not true. That was never stated. I've read this fight so many times, I know that wasn't stated. He wants to make a new technique and use Gojo to further his power, not just use existing powers. As why Gojo, after death, says Sukuna would have won without Maharaga. That's not what he says. Depending on which translation you read, Gojo says, without 10 shadows, it still would have been damn close, meaning it could go either way. He has ways to win, just didn't want to. He also didn't even use his Heian form either. Okay, well, thank you for commenting, Gaming Shogun. So let's take it one point at a time. We talked about this one. Maharaga is fodder compared to Gojo. Gojo literally one-shots him with pretty much any of his techniques. Purple could one-shot him, and I think red could one-shot him too. Next, Gojo questions why Sukuna won't go on the offensive. Yes, Sukuna was adapting to Gojo during the first three domain clashes, I believe. It was 3 or 4. He was adapting to Gojo during that time. That is true. That doesn't change the fact that when he was 3v1 jumping Gojo outboxed all 3 of them while Gojo had 1 arm. Doesn't change that. Okay. Now, let's see. Yeah, this one was just a lie. Like, that really isn't stated. Sukuna doesn't say that. Oh, and another counter argument is you can just easily say that without World Cutting Slash, Sukuna had no win condition. And if you say that, not only is it true, but it just proves like he needed it, like without Maharaga, his only way of winning would be domain amplification, and Sukuna was getting cooked in hand-to-hand. So domain amplification is a very bad move. Let's see. He wants to make a new technique and further his power. So here's a counter-argument to that Sukuna got the World Cutting Slash just to further his power. That's one interpretation. Another interpretation is he got World Cutting Slash because he knew he'd die fighting Gojo without it. That's another equally as valid interpretation. Yeah, and another thing to consider, I would say that that's the more valid interpretation, that Sukuna needed World Cutting Slash to win against Gojo and only Gojo. Because look at the massive strength gap between Sukuna and every other sorcerer there. They are all getting cooked. Even if Sukuna did not have World Cutting Slash and he just had to fight everybody else but no Gojo, Sukuna low diffs everybody. So World Cutting Slash wasn't just to make Sukuna stronger. World Cutting Slash was to kill Gojo. That's it. Period. Because he didn't need it for anyone else. No one else is even close to him. And if you think about it, World Cutting... Look, here's the best way I can prove that. Normal dismantle chops everyone in half. just Sukuna's normal dismantle kills everyone except Gojo. The only one he needed World Cutting Slash for was Gojo. So I'd say, just based on that alone, it's much more likely he got World Cutting Slash specifically for Gojo because that's the only person he needed it for. No one else needs it. And the other thing to consider is, like, it definitely was not meant to kill future Six Eyes users either. Gojo is an anomaly so insane that him being born made all the other curses stronger automatically. That's not going to happen again for a very, very long time. And even if another Gojo level talent was born, Sukuna can kill them easily when they're, like, just growing up. It's the same thing he did to Higuruma. So my stance on it, it's much more likely the real reason Sukuna got World Cutting Slash was to kill Gojo. It was not just to make himself stronger. It was mainly to kill Gojo. That's my stance on that. And you're saying he also didn't use his Heian form either. Well, that is true, but he had to. Like, Gojo defeated Meguna. He had Meguna down to 1 HP, could not use reverse curse technique anymore, and was absolutely cooked. Right after that, he had to go into Heian era form. And the move that Meguna used to kill Gojo, as we stated earlier, is a move that objectively scales below Gojo in reaction speed because Maki dodged World Cutting Slash. So, yeah, that's my stance on that. But that was a good comment, and I appreciate you for leaving that comment, Gaming Shogun. Now, let me scroll through these live stream comments. Oh, wait, I see Julian said something. He said, yo, Lilos, for the Yuta versus Toji thing, I think Toji is a lot faster since it's stated Maki is still equal to Gojo. Maki is still equal to Gojo, and Maki reacted a lot better. I do not think Maki is equal to Gojo. But, you have a good point that Maki reacts... Well, is that true? Maki reacted better to Sukuna slashes when Yuta couldn't do all of that. I'm going to have to look and see if Maki... I need to analyze both of those fights side by side. Because Maki was honestly getting sent flying, but she did take... I think she took 3 black flashes and still kept standing. So, there's something to that. And the Yuta versus Toji debate could continue onwards. T. Cole, Bromus about to cook. Yeah, Bromus, dude, Bromus is super smart, bro. Let's see this one. Been like a year, Gojo fan still coping. I mean, look, bro, let me talk about that. I just genuinely think Gojo versus Sukuna is the most fun battle to scale and debate in all of Jujutsu Kaisen. It's the 2 strongest characters who have the most cool, awesome powers. And they both push all of the powers in the series to their utmost limit. Like, just doing things no one else can do. I like scaling both of them. It's fun to me, you know? It is what it is. Now, Bromus. Bromus is literally like the boss, the final boss raid. I don't know. I already know this is going to be good. Bromus usually has really good points, so buckle in for some smart stuff. So Bromus says, yeah, it's smart. I'm reading it. It's smart. Okay, let's go. So Bromus says, seems the main point to this argument is that the World Cutting Slash was dodged by Maki. It wasn't. It was a chanted dismantle. Like they mean like enhanced by the chants. In chapter 255, it states that Sukuna has to use his chants, direct the dismantle using his palm, and use the Enmanton hand sign. That's the Malevolent Shrine hand sign, at the same time to use World Cutting Slash. The only time he used it was against Gojo due to the binding vow, Kashimo, and Higuruma. Yuta was cut by a chanted dismantle, since he didn't have the arms capable of doing the Enmanton hand sign, chapter 251, and Maki dodged the same attack, being that Sukuna still didn't have necessary hands to use World Cutting Slash in 252. You can look at both clearly. Outside of that, Sukuna was able to show relativity, Gojo in hand-to-hand when using domain amplification in 227 in domain battle, and again in chapter 231 when Gojo was moving the fastest he'd shown, fast enough to create after images. You see, this is what I'm talking about, bro. This guy, I told you, he could literally do YouTube videos, bro. Anyways, so these are excellent points, and these are by far the most difficult to debate, so let's go right into them right now. One at a time, we're going to go into them, okay? So, the main point that Bromus is making here is that this slash right here that we see Maki dodge, Bromus is saying that this is not world cutting slash. He says this is just world cutting slash with a chant. Okay. Let's talk about this in detail and let's really analyze it and come to a conclusion as to what is more likely here. Okay? Because Bromus, bravo, man. Great points. Really smart. And now it's time to analyze it. So the thing you need to look at here is what the chant Sukuna's saying is. It's parried falling stars. If you look at Sukuna's world cutting slash chants, these are the chants to world cutting slash. He says dragon scales, repulsion, parried falling stars. Parried falling stars is the last chant for world cutting slash. That alone heavily implies Sukuna did the full chant. Gege just wrote the last one. He then covers the vision and fires world cutting slash. Okay, that's one way of interpreting it. But I want to give Bromus more leeway here. Let's give him some more chance, right? So here's one thing you can look at to disprove this. Never once, well, I want to say this in the right way, okay? So I'll just let you guys know this. Before the stream started, I read Bromus's comment specifically because I knew his would be the hardest, and I prepared for it before the stream started. That's a truth. Okay, so the reality is this: I looked at every single dismantle in the entire series, every single one, and he never once in the entire series, never once says parried falling stars and shoots a normal dismantle. Like the entire series before world cutting slash is a concept, he never once says parried falling stars. Okay? What Bromus is saying is that parried falling stars is just one chant he's using to power up his dismantle. But never in the series before world cutting slash was a thing, he never says that chant ever. Not even against Maharaga. Against Maharaga, this scene's a good one because before this scene, Maharaga sent Sukuna flying across the city and had already reflected some of his cleaves and dismantle attacks. He comes back and just hits him with a stronger dismantle, but he's not using the parried falling stars chant. Even though he saw a weaker dismantle didn't do jack squat, he powers it up, does not say parried falling stars. Another example. Here, when he's in Meguna form for the first time, his cursed energy output is low because Megumi's resisting him, basically. Whenever he's trying to hurt Megumi's friends, Megumi is subconsciously lowering Sukuna's cursed energy output. This would be a perfect time to raise your cursed energy output with the parried falling stars chant, but he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that here. Okay? And the most telling piece of evidence here is that Sukuna never once this is still true even now in the most recent chapters. He never once says the world cutting slash chance when he only has 2 arms. This is extreme, like super good evidence that Maki really did dodge a world cutting slash. It's this idea. Let me just explain it to you guys. Here, I'll go back to the binding vow. So the binding vow Sukuna did to fire world cutting slash when he killed Gojo, the way it works is world cutting slash, you need to be able to do the hand signs with 2 hands, and then you need to have a 3rd arm to fire it. Okay? And you need to do the 3 chants here, these 3 chants. Those are the activation requirements to fire world cutting slash. You need to have 3 arms, you need to do the chants, and you need to do a hand sign, then you can fire it. Okay? Where's the binding vow? Right here. And if you break a binding vow with yourself, this is stated by Kenjaku, then you can lose what's gained. So if Sukuna messes up the activation conditions, he could never be able to do world cutting slash again. And the chants, these chants right here, are part of the activation condition to world cutting slash. The reason I'm saying all that is because we see the one time we know for certain, whoops, how far did I go? All right, here. One time right here, we know for certain, it's straight up stated, he can't complete the palm sign with just the top and bottom right hands. It's because he was missing 2 arms. He could not do world cutting slash here. During this part of the fight, Sukuna never once just says parried falling stars. He never says any of the world cutting slash chants to make his dismantle stronger. I'm saying all this to say there's a chance he might not be able to use those chants at all unless he's using world cutting slash, because if he just tries to use the same activation conditions that are mandatory for world cutting slash now, a binding vow makes it mandatory. If he does those and just tries to shoot a normal dismantle, there's a chance that could make it so he never uses world cutting slash again. That might qualify as him breaking the binding vow. Him doing the activation conditions and then just firing a normal dismantle might legit break his binding vow and make him lose world cutting slash forever. And that's implied right here, where he can't use world cutting slash and he never once says the chants needed for world cutting slash. Even when he's battling Yuji, gets hit by 7 black flashes, sees that his cursed energy output is lower, hits Yuji with slashes that are doing like not much damage to him, because now Yuji has the same cursed technique. So it's kind of like being hit by your own cursed technique plus Yuji being stronger. All this stuff is making it so that Sukuna's slashes are like not hurting Yuji. And this is a perfect time to amp his slashes with chants, but he doesn't do it. Okay, so all that to say, there's much more evidence supporting the idea that this is world cutting slash than there is evidence saying that it's not. Because right here, something that Bromis was actually incorrect about is Sukuna actually does have 3 hands here. Sukuna has 3 hands here, and you can see it right here. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So, but like I said, Bromis is, I honestly, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Bromis is like a legitimate genius. Like, this was such a smart comment. Now the Yuta part, so that's my stance on it. My stance is that Maki did dodge world cutting slash because all of the prereqs were there. Like, everything that Sukuna needs to do world cutting slash, he had access to all of it. He had 3 arms. We see Gege writes that he said the last part of the chant, implying that the first 2 were said before it. He covers himself with rocks, like blinding Maki's vision. That alone could be used as a distraction to do the hand sign and then blast her, you know. So that my stance on it is that it's more likely that this is world cutting slash because never once in the entire series before World Cutting Slash was a thing, we never see him say parried falling stars and just do a normal, like an enhanced dismantle. That only, like, this chant, it only exists after World Cutting Slash becomes a concept in the story. And it's stated by the Binding Vow that these chants are the activation conditions. And my stance on it is, if you just use the activation conditions and you don't follow through with the Binding Vow, that might count as breaking the Binding Vow with yourself. And then that would make Sukuna lose World Cutting Slash forever. So, and the fact that he has not lost World Cutting Slash forever makes me believe that this is a World Cutting Slash. That's my stance on it. But like we said, it's debatable, so you can keep debating it, but that is my stance on it. And then another thing worth mentioning is World Cutting Slash is just a dismantle with the target changed anyway. So, I mean, like, to say that it's just a chanted dismantle, so is World Cutting Slash. It's literally just dismantle with the target changed, right? So, but the Yuta being cut by a enhanced dismantle, that, in my opinion, is more likely than Maki getting cut by an enhanced dismantle, but it's still really debatable. So let's talk about that, because not everybody might know exactly what Bromus was talking about. So Bromus is saying that this slash right here, Sukuna does, is not a world cutting slash. Bromus is saying that this is actually just a enhanced dismantle. Okay? And the reason Bromus is saying that is because right here, we see Sukuna's arms are captured. He cannot do the hand sign for World Cutting Slash like this. Then he gets blasted with Jacob's Ladder. He's off screen for 4 panels. And then the next thing we know, he's saying the full activation chant to World Cutting Slash, and he cuts Yuta in half. Later on, when they look at Yuta chopped in half, they actually say he's been chopped in half just like Gojo, implying that it was a World Cutting Slash as well. I'll pull that up for you guys right here. I think it was 261. I believe it was. Yeah. Right here. So this is Yuta after getting hit with this attack right here. This dude says, like Gojo, his body split in half. Okay. World Cutting Slash cut Gojo in half. And right here, he does the activation chant for World Cutting Slash and then chops Yuta in half. So like that implies it is World Cutting Slash, but the one thing that makes it not look like World Cutting Slash is that his arms were captured right here. So here's my counter argument to that. Right here, he starts doing the hand signs. The narrator even says Sukuna ended Hollow Wicker Basket and took the effects of like a can't miss attack from Yuta just so that he could do this hand sign in desperation. Then afterwards does the chants and then cuts Yuta in half. So the question is, does this count? Did Sukuna do the hand sign enough for it to register in his Binding Vow? The answer is unknown. That's the reality. We don't know. But I think it does. Yeah, my stance is I think it does. It's especially since he did not lose World Cutting Slash after this. And if you break a Binding Vow with yourself, you lose the ability you gained. If he was just doing a enhanced dismantle, but used the Binding Vow activation chants right here, and then just used a normal dismantle instead of a World Cutting Slash, that might have broke the Binding Vow and caused him to lose World Cutting Slash, but Sukuna doesn't lose World Cutting Slash. So that's my stance on it. I think that this is a World Cutting Slash, and I think that this hand sign was enough to register as the like beginning to the Binding Vow activating. That's my stance on that. Bromus might have had a little more. But no, that was a really good comment. It says, outside of that, Sukuna was able to show relativity to Gojo in hand-to-hand when using domain amp in 227. Yeah, but I would say that this gets overwhelmed by the fact that Gojo beat him in a 3v1. Okay, so let me take a peep back at the live stream comments. There's a lot of them. Let's see. Zephyriel241 says, you should do a community post for if he did use the WBD against Yuta. Oh, do you mean like World Cutting Slash and Maki? Okay, I can do a poll on that. Let's see who else is here. Yeah, since there's a lot of comments, guys, I think like a good one, if you want me to reply to your comment directly, put like at Lilo's Adventure, and then I'll be able to see it faster, like what Zephyriel did. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to these debate points over here. Yeah, and we got through all of the top comments, so let's keep going. Bromus was like the big Bromus. I'm not even gonna lie, bro. I was nervous. I was nervous to get the Bromuses because like this guy can scale, dude. I was like, oh man, this is gonna be hard, bro. And it honestly was challenging. Like this is really good stuff. All right, so now this one, it says the Polish Lithuanian Common W. The Polish Lithuanian Common W8986 says, Divine Flames after Gojo's domain collapses is an easy win for Sukuna. Also, Gojo states Sukuna is taking the more difficult path throughout the fight. It's pretty objective. Sukuna was fighting while handicapped by Maharaga's adaptation. Basically, Sukuna was holding back because he had to focus on adapting to Infinity and Infinite Void instead of killing Gojo, which he could have done multiple times, whether it was Divine Flames after the first domain battle, which should have worked given neither domain was modified, or just Sukuna transforming into Heian Era to get advantage in hand-to-hand while using domain amplification. These are good points, but the Divine Flame one, this is one that I view this one as something pretty easy to debunk. Let me, it was what was it? 226, I think, was the start of the domain clash battle. Ah, crap, hold on. Okay, the one right before this. Okay, well, hold up. Just gotta go to the page behind this one. Boom. Okay, so I can give the simple answer. A lot of people say, if Sukuna just switched to Fuga right here, he'd kill Gojo. Okay? But like, the counter argument to that is that never happened because of this. Gojo uses his reverse curse technique to replenish his curse technique and destroys Sukuna's domain instantly. He hit Sukuna with something he had never seen before in 1,000 years of sorcery. Gege, I mean, like, literally, Gege told us why he didn't do that. It's because of this. Gojo legit outskilled him. He legitimately outskilled him. This was something that Sukuna had never seen before in 1,000 years, did not see it coming. It completely shocked him. Sukuna thought he had the fight in the bag. And then this came out and just blasted him. Even if it was Heian Era Sukuna, the same surprise is going to happen. He had never seen it before. And there's a statement with Sukuna, I think it's chapter 260, where they say Sukuna's efficiency is so strong that as long as he can replenish his curse technique, he can reopen his domain nearly infinitely. Let me look at that. I think it's here. Yeah, it's right here. So it says, Sukuna is highly efficient with cursed energy. So even with cursed energy reduced to Yuta's level, it's possible for him to open a domain countless times as long as he restores the burnt cursed technique. Gojo's Cursed energy efficiency is greater than Sukuna's, meaning the same thing applies to Gojo. That's the reason why Fuga never worked on Gojo, and Gege himself literally states that. Like, he says it right here. Hold on. He says it right here. He says, in his fight against Satoru Gojo, he changed the conditions for the barrier technique and continually restricted the effective range, resulting in insufficient firepower, so he had been sealing Divine Flame. I don't know why people skip over that. Gege literally took the time to explain to us why Sukuna didn't use Fuga, but for some reason people still say, well, he could have just done it anyway. He couldn't. He couldn't. You know. So there's that. Let's go back here. Did I get through everything here? And yes, the idea that Sukuna was holding back and had to focus on adapting to infinity. The easiest counter argument to that in the world is he needed it. Like, if he didn't adapt, he was going to die. It was a mandatory thing to win. Okay. That's like looking at a UFC fight. No, I don't know if I could do that analogy like well off the top of my head. Never mind. I was going to try and connect it to real life fighting, but I'm not sure if I could do that analogy smoothly. Anyways, let's go to the next one. T. Cole says, are you willing to play advocate for debates pro Gojo? You mean like doing debates where I say Sukuna's stronger? Yeah, I'd be willing to do that for fun. Maybe. Look, dude, maybe at 50,000 subs, we just flip everything and we do a stream where I say Sukuna's stronger than Gojo and then just like roast Gojo for an hour or something. But a little down the line. Let's see. Okay, Kid Scorpion said Sukuna was fighting to learn, Gojo was fighting to live. I'd say Sukuna was fighting to live too, bro. Man got hit by 3 fatal attacks he had nothing in his belt to save himself from. That man was fighting to live too. And another thing, Sukuna started planning for this fight chapter 116 bare minimum. When he first fought Mahoraga, that was him starting to prepare for Gojo. This man literally prepared for 100 chapters before boxing Gojo. Gojo showed up with no plan, no strategy, and still nearly killed him 3 times. Nah, Sukuna was fighting to live, bro. Austin Allen says, one thing a lot of people seem to forget is Gojo was purposefully not trying to kill Megami. That's a great point. That's what we were saying earlier too. I'm gonna give this one a heart. Bias Potato, what's up, Bias Potato? It said, if they fought again, Sukuna would have a much easier time. He has 2 extra arms, an extra mouth. He can use domain amplification more freely, and he has world-cutting slash. I also think he got an overall buff to stats. Oh, and after this one, guys, I'll read your live chats. He said, I also think he got an overall buff to stats because now he is in his normal body form. I agree with that too. The Heian Era Sukuna is physically stronger than even Yuji. So, like, his physical strength is insane. During the fight, Gojo would do worse in every domain clash than before. And when they aren't in a domain clash, Sukuna would do much better than before with more ways to get past infinity. Wait, let's focus on that. What are the more ways to get past infinity? He still only has domain amplification. I don't understand that. Well, like, maybe I'm missing something. I guess he's saying he would have world-cutting slash and domain amplification. Okay. And then he says, I don't think Gojo would ever get a domain hit off, and it's less likely that he would hit Sukuna with a surprise red into a blue amped black flash. A lot of people talk about the 3v1 and how Gojo was still winning, but Sukuna only did the 3v1 after he was badly damaged. Now, that is not true, brother. I mean, okay, it is kind of true. Yes, he got hit by, gotten hit by a black flash and was knocked out. But, like, dude, let me put it like this. Why did he get badly damaged? It's because Gojo cooked him. It wasn't like Sukuna slipped on a banana peel, hit his head on the ground, and then Gojo beat him up. No, Gojo just cooked him. So everyone has the right to talk about the 3v1 because that is like the most telling piece of the fight, that Gojo got jumped by Maharaga, who was powered up by Sukuna's cursed energy and had dismantle, and was fighting 10 Shadow Beast, and was fighting Sukuna, who was full power. Like, it's nuts. Yeah, that is really nuts, man. But wait, did I answer everything in here? No, I don't think I did. So he says, during the fight, Gojo would do worse in every domain clash than before. He would do worse, but he would still do better than Sukuna because he's just better at hand-to-hand. He beat Sukuna with 6 arms. Sukuna with 4 arms is going to get beaten worse than Gojo did in the than Sukuna did in the 3v1. But if they're not in the domain clash, Sukuna would do better than before. With World Cutting Slash, that's a good point, but something to keep in mind is that Maki can dodge World Cutting Slash. If Gojo's actually just using his powers, he'll dodge it too. And a counter argument I see people throw to that is they say that Maki can see Maki can see the dismantle, but Gojo can't. Here's my counter argument to that. It's a question I really want you to really think about. How can a teenager with no cursed energy, how are they able to see a cursed energy based attack, which is, dismantle, but the strongest 6 eyes user in history can't? When the 6 eyes literally tell you what a cursed technique is just by looking at a person. The answer is, there's no good answer to that. That's why Gege doesn't say anything. Legit. It's just that's not a logical line of reasoning. The idea that someone with no cursed energy can see Sukuna's attacks, but Gojo, when his power literally tells you what a cursed technique is just by looking at someone, he can't see it. That doesn't make sense at all. I'm sorry, it doesn't. And in a series where the author over-explains pretty much everything, the fact that part got glazed over is a massive red flag. It gives me the vibe that it might just be a legit mistake that can't be explained well. Let me see. It says, I don't think Gojo would ever get a domain hit off. Well, I mean, for Gojo to land a domain, all that has to happen is that he's 0.1 seconds faster. And that did happen in their fight. So it shows that it's possible to happen again. And when you're dealing with characters who are this relative in power, like, really anything can happen. So I think it is possible that he would hit. I think the idea that he would never get a domain hit off is a bit far-fetched, in my opinion. Maybe that's not the right word. I think it's more likely that he would get at least one domain hit off than it is that he would never land one. But these are honestly really good points. These are really good points. And World Cutting Slash is a really powerful attack. So, let me look at these live stream comments. Let's see here. NJ said, I am the first comment you read. That is correct. That is correct. Izzy D. Buzzin says, I'd agree. If Sukuna was utilizing his full arsenal, we can't say he was at full power if he was clearly holding back tactics, abilities, forms, curse tools, etc. Objectively, he was not using his full capacity against Gojo. Okay, let's think about that. He was holding back tactics. What tactic? He used, so I don't think he was holding back tactics, actually, because there was 3 times in the fight where Sukuna was about to die, and he did not use his own abilities to save himself. He used the 10 shadows. That, to put that into context, Sukuna is the king of curses with an ego so massive he views himself as a god. For a god, for a guy who views himself like that, to humble himself to the point where he saved his life 3 times with stolen moves, not only does it imply that he was using his tactics, he was going beyond his tactics. He was desperate. At least 3 times in the fight, Sukuna was desperate because he couldn't save himself with his own moves. And then it's even stated that Sukuna was scared. Gojo scared him, bro. So the idea that he was holding back tactics after being humiliated like that, I don't know about that one. The next thing though, abilities, forms, cursed tools. That's a good point. Abilities, okay? The only ability Sukuna did not use on Gojo were the ones he couldn't use, which was Fuga. He used like everything he had. He used everything he had plus everything Megumi had. Okay, and forms. So something to keep in mind, if we're just being really honest about it, Sukuna, like normal Sukuna, does not have the ability to transform from like base form to Heian era form, like a Super Saiyan transformation. Megumi is a stolen vessel. Sukuna's real power is just Heian era form. So him hiding that, there's a lot of different ways you can interpret it. Let me think. How could I word this? Well, I'll put it like this. Gojo destroyed Meguna fully, to the point where Meguna could not use reverse curse technique anymore. He had, before Gojo hit him with purple, Sukuna literally states if he takes 1 purple from him, it would be fatal. Man, hold on, let me pull that up. I think it was chapter either 234 or 235. Show you that. Yeah, he says he said if he took 1 more, it would be fatal. Right here, I think. Yep. Okay. So listen to what Sukuna says about Gojo. This is Sukuna. This is Sukuna's inner dialogue. He said, "This is fine for now, as long as I don't let him use purple. When purple really cuts loose, its output is over 120% with some kind of binding vow." Oh, hey, Gojo did use binding vows in this fight, huh? That's something I just noticed. However, I got away with just losing 2 reinforced hands when taking a direct hit at just under 4 kilometers. Neither of them were at full strength. So for people who were saying Gojo beat Sukuna in a 3v1, the only reason he did that was because Sukuna was damaged, Gojo was too. If he lands a hit with purple at that distance at even just 100%, it'd be fatal. Sukuna then proceeds to get hit by purple and doesn't die. We don't, and some people call that plot armor. It is what it is. But the reason I was mentioning all of that, it's really hard to say that this man was holding back when he's getting cooked to that degree. And we were talking about the forms. Truth is, Gojo defeated the Meguna form. It was not like he couldn't use it anymore after Gojo died. And like Sukuna being able to go from Meguna to Heian era form, that's not something the original Heian era Sukuna could do. So, I mean, like, it's kinda, I'm not sure what the right adjective to use is, but saying that Sukuna's stronger than Gojo because he stole someone's body and then Gojo destroyed that body and now he's back to his normal form. That is I don't know the right adjective, but it's like, it doesn't feel 100% right to me to view it that way. I need to think about that a little bit more. But the idea is normal Heian era Sukuna can't even do that. So like viewing him going from Meguna form to Heian era form as like a transformation in Sukuna's arsenal, normal Sukuna can't do that. Normal Sukuna is Heian era Sukuna. Meguna is a stolen vessel. Cursed tools. The cursed tool would never do anything to Gojo anyway. It was just lightning. It can't bypass his infinity. But those are honestly all really good points, man. Oh, and Izzy said again, he was scared 100%, but it doesn't merit him going full power. I'd argue it implies he would still win without using absolutely everything. He was scared, but he knew he'd win. I mean, that's just called being cocky, because like, there was many times he was about to die. So, and I'd say Gojo and Sukuna are both very cocky. So, I don't know. Those are really good points, man. They're honestly really good points. I'm not even going to lie. Those are good points. But on to the next one. I'm Decade. I'm Decade is a pretty cool person as well. Okay, let's get into this. To address this wait, how long is this? Okay, I was scared that it like just kept going and going. But it's good. Wait, let me see how many more we got. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We have so many. 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Brother. Okay, we got about like 30 more. We're gonna... I don't want to like cheat anybody out of like a good response. Where were we? Okay, we were right here. Oh boy, there's a ton more, man. I'm contemplating maybe we do just a few more here. And then maybe in the next live stream I finish up the rest. I don't know. We'll see. Hold up. Let me do this one first. Okay, because I'm Decade is also someone who's very smart too, and this one's probably going to take quite a bit of energy. So maybe this will be like the second to last one, but I don't want to cheat these guys, man. These guys put their comments here because they wanted me to reply. All right, let me do this one first, and then we'll decide. Okay, so I'm Decade said, to address this objectively stronger via feats claim, feats aren't the only showing... I'm Decade's very smart, guys. Genuinely very smart. So, feats aren't the only showing to demonstrate a point from author's intent. Statements are equally as important when it comes to matters of scaling and understanding the intent of the author. Even then, Sukuna undoubtedly has more feats that put him above Gojo, whether you disagree or agree. Gojo has more showings, visual depictions of him outperforming Sukuna in terms of hand-to-hand coordination and speed, but Gege left statements that gave these said Gojo feats more nuance. For example, this whole time Sukuna's been stubbornly avoiding using any other curse technique other than the one granted to his domain. Why? Well, the reason he was doing that was because he needed Maharaga, otherwise Gojo would kill him. Even when the interior strength of the barrier lowered, after I flipped the internal and external conditions, he didn't try to destroy it from the inside. He chose the riskier option. It's because if he didn't do that, he would have no win condition against Gojo. Like, literally, like, honestly, I want you guys to take a second here. If Meguna did not develop World Cutting Slash, what would have happened in that fight? You remember how it ended? Look at this. Hold up. Look at this. This is how the fight ended without World Cutting Slash. Just seeing Sukuna going through it, just like, ah, bro, what? This is what you get without World Cutting Slash. People like to gloss over stuff, brother. This is why Sukuna needed World Cutting Slash. This is why Sukuna chose the riskier option. It's because without World Cutting Slash, what happens? Gojo would have won. Okay. But I'll keep going. Gojo expresses that Sukuna is intentionally using the riskier method, which we visually see that it's him taking the blunt force for Gojo's attacks. In chapter 229, we see Sukuna being late in the domain clash, leading to his temporary suspension in animation. It's two interpretations of this panel. Due to the beating he took, he was slower than usual via only due to needing the reverse curse technique, and he intentionally did this ploy to gain further adaptation for Mahoraga, both of which are very likely implications from chapter 229. And then here are some more statements. It hasn't had time to adapt to Unlimited Void. I'll destroy it in one shot right now. It already adapted to Unlimited Void. So Gojo realizes that Sukuna's real intentions were all along to take the burden of adaptation for Mahoraga to get resistance to Limitless. So in short, regardless of the instance upon the fact that Gojo had superior hand-to-hand coordination than Sukuna, it was never implied or shown that Gojo was objectively stronger than Sukuna throughout the whole fight. My stance on Gojo being objectively stronger is just because Sukuna's two strongest attacks, his Fuga, it's stated to be his ultimate attack, was also stated that it would never work on Gojo, and World Cutting Slash, Maki dodged it, meaning Gojo can too. So that's why I say Gojo's objectively stronger. When we see that Sukuna has no answer to Unlimited Void, but Gojo's stats put him above both of Sukuna's strongest attacks. But Sukuna does not have anything that puts him above Unlimited Void. If that joint lands, Sukuna dies. The only way he's ever shown escaping it is with stolen moves. That's why I put Gojo, from a power scaling perspective, Gojo is stronger. And that's also further proven in cross versus battles. If you do cross versus scaling, you start realizing like Gojo's like, if you put them in other verses, Gojo's like in a completely different tier than Sukuna. And I've talked about this before, but it's like, imagine, here's a good way to imagine it. Imagine if you, personally, you had to fight Meruem, Zoro, and Mihawk. They're all really angry. These like continent level, like Meruem's like speed of lightning, Zoro's many times faster than light, Mihawk's many times faster than light. Zoro and Mihawk are out here like chopping continents in half. Meruem's out here like this super monster. If you had to choose yourself to fight them, but you get either Sukuna's powers or Gojo's powers, everyone would pick Gojo's powers. It's because that's just a safer bet. And you start realizing that, like, if you just start cross-verse scaling them, it's like Gojo just goes way further. Like, Sukuna versus Meruem, that's a 10-hour back-and-forth fight. Sukuna could lose. Gojo versus Meruem, Gojo one-shots. It's no problem. He would kill him like nothing. So, that was kind of a side point. I don't even know how I got into that. Anyways, let's keep going with this. More evidence that he was fighting risky. He continued to take on Unlimited Void 5 times, all while shouldering the burden of Mahoraga's adaptation, and the one who bore that burden was Megami's soul. Using this ploy is just elaboration. Oh, actually, this is a big point that no one really talks about. Sukuna was using Megami's soul as a meat shield to Unlimited Void during the domain clashes the entire time. One interpretation of that is if he did not have Megami's soul, he might have just gotten cooked by Unlimited Void like way faster. Anyways, using this ploy is just an elaboration upon his previous risky endeavors, which puts him in a disadvantaged position as we see later in 229, meaning Sukuna has the more impressive feats objectively due to putting himself in a handicap position and still winning. Without said handicaps, he would win with a easier shot than in canon. I mean, yeah, these were all good points. We were kind of answering them as we went through them. And the last point here, the idea of Sukuna fighting with handicaps, he needed them or he was going to have this happen to him. So, like, he needed World Cutting Slash or this is the end result. Okay, so I don't view it as a handicap. I view it as he literally needed it. That was part of his elaborate 8-step plan that he had been thinking of for 100 chapters. Okay, I am getting mega sleepy. Oh man, there's so many more. I don't want to let them down. I must go further beyond like All Might. All right, let's do this one. Jiro says, then again, there's the whole... Okay, I've reached the point in the stream where now I am sleepy. And now, now that I'm sleepy, my power scaling might decrease a bit. So I think I'm going to just do this last one here. And then I'll scroll through the live stream chat. Oh, wait, you guys were... Oh, a few people were adding me in there. Blue X says it's paired as in two, not parried. Oh, it's paired? Really? Is it one R this whole time? Oh, you were right, man. Thank you for correcting me on that. I have a few like mispronunciations in my different animes. Like this is actually like kind of an Easter egg, bro. If you go back to like my older videos, there's a lot of things that I like, a lot of anime names that I say wrong, but just because I had never realized I was saying it wrong. Like Lucci in One Piece. Growing up, I always called him Lucy. My whole family called him Lucy. And if you look at my first like 50 to 100 videos, anytime I mention Lucci, I'm calling him Lucy. And then eventually I corrected because people like kept roasting me in the comments. Hunter, I've called that Hunter X Hunter my whole life. But after I made the Gone versus Killua video, everyone's like, bro, why are you still saying Hunter X Hunter? Now I say Hunter. That's, but yeah, that similar thing just happened now with that parried thing. It's actually paired. Okay, Jiro, this is going to be the last one I do for tonight. Oh, wait, Julian said something too. Hold up. He said he's been ignored. Wait, what did you say, Julian? Wait, he said, can you react to a Gojo versus Sukuna or a Kashimo versus Sukuna fan animation after reading these both? The fan animation are by the red-haired guy. Can you also do a stream poll about it? I'd love to, bro, but I think I would have to like be friends with them first and get their permission first. I would not want them to like get upset with me like streaming their content without permission. But this will be the last one of today. Okay. So Jiro says, then again, there is the whole he may get an output increase from using his true form rather than Megumi's, or he can increase the output of his domain via his stomach chants. Don't know if it's even possible to enhance the output of a domain without a binding vow, since it's the pinnacle of jujutsu a sorcerer can achieve. Wait, don't even know if it's possible. Actually, good point. Yo, Jiro just said an amazing point. Inside of a domain expansion, that is the pinnacle of sorcery. And it's already amping your stats like buffs in a video game. You might not be able to go further than that with a chant. He has a very good point there. That leaves one option for Sukuna, and that's his real form being stronger than his possession state. If none of these are true and he doesn't have 10 shadows, then the fight in the manga proves he would have been cooked. I agree with that, bro. I like that. That's a nice one to stop this on. Dude, I didn't get to all of these comments, so I'm just going to read your guys' names so that way you guys can feel involved. Jordan D. Avilia Brown 294, thank you for commenting. I'm sorry that I didn't get to this one. But he's talking about Sukuna was taking riskier options. This next one, Gabriel F17NV says one of them's still alive in the manga. Hey, that's true. Nyank Kahana 6447. Okay. Just a Tepig. Oh, I've seen Just a Tepig, I think, before. But yeah, let me just say thank you to all these guys. Thanks for commenting, Just a Tepig, Tuver Garlaga Galarga 6144. Thank you for commenting. Quentin Griffin, I think I've seen your comments before. Thank you for commenting. Makito, thank you very much for commenting. Barna Bass Bendy, thank you. Vibia, thank you. Jack Boy Naylor, thank you. Silent Aggression 1 trillion, thank you. Pasamic, thank you. Oh, Izzy, what's up, bro? Yeah, I'll give you a like. Fuzo, what's up? Jit Mithrank, what's up? ATPR, I think I've seen their comments before too. Galgox, what's up, bro? T Cole, what's up? Oh boy, how many more? Everyone here, thank you for your comments. Oh, Matt, what's up, bro? What's up, Matt? Ooh, okay, guys. This is about me at my limits. I'm a extremely sleepy young man. I need to catch some Z's. So I think this is going to be where we wrap up the stream. Oh yeah, Zephyril, you're saying you want me to do a poll. What poll did you want again? You wanted me to say, like, did Yuta get hit by World Cutting Slash or just an enhanced dismantle? And Julian says, what are your thoughts about Yuta versus Kashimo? Can you do a poll stream on it? Yeah, I can do a stream on it. Off the top of my head right now, I would say Yuta scales above base Kashimo, but might scale below Curse Technique Kashimo. But if Curse Technique Kashimo can't kill him before he disintegrates, then Yuta would just win anyway. And I'd say it's more likely that Yuta could just outlast him and not die. So I would say Yuta's more likely to win. Especially since, like, Yuta's the second strongest sorcerer, and that title was never taken away from him. Like, the narrator never says anything like, oh, now that Kashimo's here, Kashimo's the second strongest. You know, that was never said. So yeah, I would lean more towards Yuta. Another one I want to do is Yuta versus Maharaga. Because there's actually a panel where Yuta says he thinks he could beat Maharaga. It's in 234, I think. Let me see. It's right here. He says Rika and I would be effective against 2 Shikigami. And this is when he's talking about joining Gojo in this 3v1 jumping and just fighting. Like, what Yuta is saying, he thinks Rika could take this one, he could take Maharaga. Yuta could be wrong, though. And he might be wrong. But it's an interesting discussion. But before we head out, what do you guys think? You think Yuta could beat Maharaga? Personally, I don't know. He's kind of like a really good matchup for Maharaga because he has so many different curse techniques. So it's like if one fails, you can try another, you know? But something worth mentioning is Maharaga pushed 15-finger Sukuna, like, badly. Like, if Fuga did not work, Sukuna was gonna die. Like, well, it was looking like he was gonna. If Fuga failed, Sukuna might have been cooked. Izzy says, I'd say so. Yuta cracked with cursed energy proficiency. Throughout the fights, his inner dialogue is constantly an understanding of the applications of the techniques displayed. That's a good point. Yuta is honestly built different. Galgox, you said I already made that poll? Bro, dang. I forget sometimes. But bro, we really do be making polls every day for real. Poll was in favor of Yuta. Oh, okay. Thanks for letting me know. Because I honestly had forgotten, and I was probably going to do it again. Just post it again. Just the Tepic says, how fast is Yuta? There's a couple different ways you could scale Yuta's speed. And the speed scaling in Jujutsu Kaisen, in all honesty, became all over the place once the culling game started up. For a more detailed explanation, in my video, Sukuna versus Netero is obvious. From 15 minutes to 21 minutes in that video, I explained the entire speed scale of Jujutsu Kaisen from like the very beginning of the series till the end of the series. So I explained like Yuji starts out at around like this speed, then goes up to this speed. So if you want a more in-depth answer, that's a good place to see it. But like off the top of my head, Yuta's speed is relative to Lightning most likely. Based off of Hikari outboxing and defeating base Kashimo, and Yuta scaling above Hikari. Yeah, and it's the reason why that gets weird though is because literally 3 chapters after Hikari beats this lightning man Kashimo, literally 3 chapters after that, Maki, who's stated to be like a Toji level fighter, struggles to react to Mach 3, which is, I believe Mach 3 is like, oh yeah, I think it's like 8,000 times slower than lightning. It's thousands of times slower, I believe. I remember I had those calculations memorized at one point, bro. Because I think the speed of lightning is like Mach 360 or something. And Mach, so maybe it's a few hundred times faster. I don't know. Anyways, the reason the speed scale gets all weird is because they say like Toji and Maki were like only Mach 3, but then right before that they have Hikari doing lightning timer stuff. So does that make Hikari like hundreds to thousands of times faster than Maki and Toji? I really don't think so. So the speed scaling is a little weird in the last arc of the series, especially because in the beginning, Yuji couldn't even react to speed of sound. Like the piercing blood is stated to be speed of sound, and Yuji couldn't react to it in Shibuya. He was like guessing where it would hit him. But then once you get to the top tiers, not including Gojo and Sukuna, it seems like lightning is within their pay grade for Yuta, Hikari, and Kashimo. And then when you get to Gojo, Sukuna, they're like many times faster than lightning. Because Sukuna, even at half power, chopped lightning beam in half. And he's had lightning-based cursed tools as part of his ancient lore. Very likely that Sukuna's stronger than his cursed tool is. So, but yeah, guys, that was everything I wanted to talk about. Oh, just a Tepig asked any confirmed speed for Naobito. I'd have to look into Naobito more. Naobito is stated to reach Mach 3 at the beginning of their fight, and as he keeps flying, he gets faster and faster. So he's somewhat above Mach 3, but we don't know exactly how much faster than Mach 3 he got. It might have not even been Mach 4. And for those who are new to like the term Mach 1 means speed of sound. So the speed of sound is like 300 miles per hour, and then Mach 2 just means twice the speed of sound. So you take 300, multiply it by 2, it's like 600 miles an hour. Mach 3 is speed of sound times 3, like 900 miles an hour. So if anyone like didn't know what I was talking about there. Okay, guys, that was everything I wanted to talk about. We did a lot of debates. I don't even know how long this stream was, bro. How long was this stream, bro? Does anyone know? When did we start, bro? There's so many comments. Thank you, everybody, for all the comments that you guys left. Everyone here was super chill. It was super friendly. Everyone was just following the guidelines, being cool dudes. So I appreciate it, man. Right now, I'm probably about to play some Elden Ring. Bro, hold up, before I bounce, I'm going to be starting the Elden Ring DLC in like a few days. So if you guys are, if you're into Elden Ring, bro, I'll be streaming that too. But the gaming streams I do, I only put those to members only. So like the live stream will be up, but then once the live stream's done, it goes straight to members only, just because most people, when they sub to power scaling channels, don't want to see me play games. So but I just love the game anyway, and I know there's some people who want to see it, so I just put them to members only. So that's something to look forward to. And I guess I could give like a hint to like my next few videos I'm working on, bro. Right now I'm debating between like this week's video is either gonna be what's it called? Right now I'm working on two videos. I'm working on Prime Netero versus Adult Gone, and Teen Gojo versus Jogo. I'm working on like both of them. I can tell you guys some scale. You guys want to hear? You guys want to just hear some of the scaling for Netero versus Adult Gone? Is anyone interested in that? I could just like talk about that for a brief second before we bounce. I'll just say one thing. Netero versus Adult Gone is actually a really interesting fight, because there's a debatable idea that, so if you analyze the Meruem versus Netero fight, Meruem was holding back the entire time. Start of the fight, he's like, okay, I'll beat you without killing you. That's like playing chess without a rook or a bishop. If you've ever played chess, those are literally the third. That's like if you were Luffy and didn't have Zoro and Sanji. That's like the best way I can put it. Like, it's literally like two of your most important pieces. And he still low diffed Netero within like 2 minutes. Their whole fight was like 2 minutes long. And Meruem, it's implied Meruem made the fight harder for himself just for fun. Because when the fight begins, the narrator says the attacks Netero's doing do no next to no damage. And the only move faster than Meruem was Netero's prayer motion. If you take that literally, that means the Buddha hand Hatsu was slower than Meruem, but Meruem never once tried to dodge it. Never once. He instead viewed it as a game where it's like, I just need to accurately predict his millions of patterns. And he viewed that as a fun game. And he actually did that and then defeated Netero within 2 minutes. If Adult Gon were to fight Netero, he doesn't have the smarts to get through those millions of patterns. However, he would be relative in all stats to Meruem and might be just faster than the Buddha hand, slower than Netero's prayer, but faster than the Buddha hand, and might be able to just one-shot kill Netero as soon as the fight starts. And it's implied that Meruem might have been able to do that too if he actually fought to kill. He might have been able to just dodge the Buddha hand and rip Netero's head off, but just chose not to do that because it was more fun to predict the patterns. That's just like the scaling I've been working on. So it's kind of a spoiler to the video, but oh, Just a Tepig says, does Adult Gon have durability comparable to Meruem? It should be relative to it. Slightly less, but relative. Because most of your defense in Hunter x Hunter comes from your Nen. And like, this is also heavily, like, I mean, there's a lot of examples of it, but the biggest example is Melioron when he sees Kid Gon beat someone up with rock. He says, yo, if we hit Meruem with that while he's completely off guard, no Nen protection, Gon might kill him. But then we see Netero hits Meruem thousands of times with his guard up and does no damage. So that shows you like how much of a difference Nen defense makes. Anyways, guys, I'm about to bounce. Thank you everybody who tuned into the stream today. We just did a little bit of Hunter x Hunter scaling at the very end too. A lot of stuff, man. But yeah, guys, this was a really fun stream. What you guys think of the debate? Did you guys like it? You guys want more of these debate streams? Because like we could legit do like 1 or 2 of these a week. Do you guys like these? Or nah? Because like I do polls every day, and I can do like debates on pretty much any of them. Well, we will probably do more. But all right, guys, that's the end of the stream. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a great night, everybody.